The North Pole of the Earth is the point where the latitude is equal to plus 90 degrees on the Earth, or the starting point for all meridians. In the North Pole, every direction is south. Covering it is the Arctic Ocean. The aforementioned North Pole is the geographic North Pole, which is just an imaginary point, and it is different from the Earth's North Pole. The North Pole is a real point in Bathurst Island, Canada, and 1,600 kilometers from the geographic North Pole, with coordinates of 82.7 degrees north, 114.4 degrees west. Antarctica, or geographic South Pole, is the point where the latitude is minus 90 degrees on Earth. It is the southernmost point on the surface of the Earth, and is located on the opposite side from the North Pole. No point on Earth is located in the south of Antarctica, and there is no country in Antarctica. Antarctica is the intersection of the axis of rotation and the southern surface of the Earth. Antarctica is different from the South Magnetic Pole due to the difference between the rotation axis and the magnetic axis of the Earth. Antarctica is located at a height of 2,800 meters above average sea level. For most purposes, the geographic South Pole is defined as the southern point of the 2 points where the Earth's axis of rotation intersects with its surface. The other is the geographic North Pole. However, the Earth's axis of rotation actually has a relatively small, shaking phenomenon, so this definition is not sufficient for jobs that require high precision. The geographic coordinates of Antarctica are often simply referred to as 90 degrees south, because their longitudes are not geographically defined and appropriate. When a longitude is needed, it can be considered to be 0 degrees west. In Antarctica, all directions are north. For this reason, the directions in Antarctica are north only, heading north along the meridian. Antarctica is literally the coldest and most pristine land in the world. This is the highest place in the world. Antarctica is the coldest place in the world. The lowest temperature recorded is minus 89 degrees Celsius. The driest place, the average annual rainfall is only 55 millimeters. In addition, parts of Antarctica have had no rain or snow for the past 2 million years. The place with the strongest wind on Earth, the maximum wind speed here is 100 meters per second. With such wind speed, you understand enough that the cold here is enough to make it living hell. Strong winds gust snow cover all year round, and the temperature is always below 0 degrees, making Antarctica one of the coldest and most pristine land on the planet. Most of Antarctica is covered with ice all year round, 98% of which is snowy and 1.9 kilometers thick, some 3.5 kilometers thick. Meanwhile, in the Arctic, this cold layer is only 2 meters to 4 meters thick. The North Pole is a region of ocean that is frozen, surrounded by soil. In contrast, Antarctica is a continent with mountains and lakes and is surrounded by oceans. With an area of 14 million square kilometers, Antarctica is considered the largest desert in the world. From a social and political point of view, the northernmost region includes the Northern Territories of Canada, the United States, Greenland, Territory of Denmark, Russia, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, and Finland. The southernmost continent has approximately 90% of the world's ice, with about one-third of the Earth's freshwater being held as ice here. The Antarctic ice is sometimes 3.5 kilometers thick. Meanwhile, in the Arctic, this cold layer is only 2 meters to 4 meters thick. It is this large ice reserves that give rise to the idea of pulling these huge glaciers to dry areas. Saudi Arabia's Prince Mohammed Al Faisal once planned to move 100 million tons of ice from Antarctica to his country. Svalbardi-branded Arctic Ice Pack has just hit the market in the UK for £80 a bottle, Daily Mail reported on February 20th. According to Daily Mail, Svalbardi water is taken from icebergs off the coast of Svalbard Island, and each exploitation is only 13,000 bottles. The manufacturer said, "This is an ideal gift for those who want to experience a pure water from the Arctic waters." Penguins live only in Antarctica and polar bears live only in the North Pole. Many people still think that polar bears and penguins have the same household registration in the North Pole. But in reality, these two species are not clowns met, and penguins were not foolish to choose where their lives were threatened by larger predators such as polar bears and snow foxes. Each Christmas season, thousands of letters are sent to Santa in the Arctic. But where is Santa in the Arctic? Finns claim that Santa Claus is their citizen. But 17,788 Americans in Alaska also advertise their area code as Santa's address. Alaska is a favorite living area for the great reindeer, the main driving force of transportation that helps Santa deliver presents around the world. Antarctica is the coldest continent. The lowest temperature is -89 degrees Celsius. The highest, the average height above sea level, is 2,350. The driest, the average annual rainfall is only 55 millimeters, and the strongest wind, the maximum wind speed here is 100 meters per second, on Earth. Meanwhile, the average winter temperature in the Arctic is only about -34 degrees Celsius, but it is warmer in the summer. The lowest temperature record recorded on Earth was 89.6 degrees Celsius, recorded on July 21, 1983 at Vostok Station near the South Pole. The ice is getting thinner and thinner. That's a warning from researchers. The Arctic is very sensitive to changes in climatic conditions. Warmer temperatures during the summer months melt the 4 to 5 meters thick ice. Scientists also predict that the 3.2 kilometers thick layer of ice in the Greenland archipelago is melting very fast, making it probably only half by the end of this century. As for Antarctica, studies also realize that the ice is melting, and no one wants that to happen, because if so, the sea level will rise to 60 meters, an unimpressive number but can cause disaster on much of the rest of the Earth. Up to 90% of the world ice. The frozen ice blocks of this continent are also huge reserves of fresh water. According to scientists, it accounts for 70% of the fresh water on Earth. In addition, a calculation has also shown that, if the Antarctic ice sheet dissolves, worldwide sea levels will rise by nearly 70 meters compared to the present. Up to now, more than 300 large lakes have been identified under the Antarctic continent. These lakes are not frozen by geothermal energy from underground and become part of a vast hydrological network under thick ice. The researchers believe that these isolated lakes could be home to unknown modern scientific microorganisms. Despite iconic images of explorers of the past, stately, flagged flags on the South Pole, this is still the only place on Earth that does not belong to anyone. It is completely different from more than 4 million people living in the Arctic Circle, in small towns or cities, such as Barrow, Alaska, USA, Tromsø, Norway, Murmansk and Salakard, Russia. This state is maintained by the existence of the Antarctic Treaty. Accordingly, the land and resources of Antarctica are used for peaceful purposes and scientific research.